What's up guys, Sean here, and today we have to talk about Lilly Singh's performance at the NBA All-Star Game. Okay, so I've been avoiding talking about Lilly Singh for a long time on this channel. I am aware of her late night show called A Little Late with Lilly Singh. I'm aware of the fact that this show is not very good at all. But for me, I can't really derive too much content out of it because there's only so many ways you can say something is just not funny before it's repetitive and completely pointless to go over it. However, Lilly Singh did an appearance at the NBA All-Star Weekend where she participated in a roast, and this was on a level so unfunny, it is actually baffling that anybody even thought to invite her to this event. Now, I'm not surprised Lilly bombed this hard at this event. Lilly is clearly not a stand-up comedian. She is somebody from YouTube being paid to impersonate a stand-up comedian in a phony late-night show that barely anybody watches. For those of you who have no context for what typically passes for comedy with Lilly Singh, she basically has 4 jokes, or 4 punchlines depending on how you want to look at it. All of what passes for punchlines or premises for Lilly Singh can be boiled down to woman, person of color, bisexual, and white man bad. Every single one of Lilly Singh's jokes features one or more of these things. And most of her jokes feature more than one, if not all of those things. But what surprises me about her appearance at the NBA All-Star Weekend is that anybody can be cringy and awful on their own terrible show that they were clearly given to fill a diversity quota. But Lilly Singh appeared at the All-Star Game and she made it absolutely clear that she knows nothing about the NBA. Look, I'm not a big fan of Kevin Hart's stand-up. I would never be a person who is awaiting the latest Kevin Hart special, but I've seen Kevin Hart do this type of event. In fact, this very specific event in previous years. And Kevin Hart knows what he's talking about when he's referencing the NBA. All of his jokes on NBA players and on the NBA as a league are very concise, targeted, and well suited for the event in which he's delivering them at. Lilly Singh literally just talks about herself, talks about that she's a bisexual woman of color, and talks about how white man equals bad. I mean, seriously, one of her first attempts at a joke involves the NBA, Canada, hockey, and the punchline is white man bad.
I was a huge basketball fan growing up because, as a Canadian, my other choice was hockey. And if I wanted to watch white people skate, I'd go to any courtroom in America.
Now, if Lilly Singh was even capable of rising to the level of a below-average comedian, she might have wanted to make a Canada joke that revolved around Kawhi Leonard, because Kawhi Leonard helped win the NBA Finals for the Toronto Raptors for the first time last year, and he ended up moving to the Los Angeles Clippers. This is a move that Lilly Singh, who was born in Canada, made herself, but she doesn't make that connection because she has no knowledge of the NBA. All she wants to do is deliver a joke about her personal politics that confirms her ideology in order for her to get applause. Now look, I'm not saying that Lilly Singh has to make a specific joke about Kawhi Leonard in order to have a good performance, but it's very telling that every single one of her jokes, except for maybe one, is about her own politics, or pop culture references, which is something that helped Lilly herself become popular on YouTube.
But I get it, okay? Most of the people up here haven't heard of me. I'm only famous on some small thing called the internet.
Also, this performance is very demonstrative of the fact that Lilly Singh is not the person she likes to portray herself as. She is not somebody who speaks truth to power. She is not somebody who stands up for the marginalized. Compare this performance, and I know this is incredibly unfair, because Ricky Gervais is A, an actual comedian, and B, a really good comedian, like in the top tier. But compare her performance to Ricky Gervais's performances at the Golden Globes. Look at the attitude put forward by Gervais compared to Lilly Singh in the events that they're at. When Ricky goes to an event like this, and what I mean by that is an event that's all about the self-aggrandizement of people in an industry, he uses that opportunity to take those people to task. He mocks them for their hypocrisy. He brings up controversies that they don't really want to hear about on the stage and makes it funny. Because like the Golden Globes, the NBA All-Star Weekend is all about building these people in this industry up, and a roast is the one opportunity in a fun way to take these people down. If Lilly would have taken the Gervais approach and pointed out the NBA's hypocrisy on things like China, even if her delivery was as bad as it was in this set, I would have given her some credit for at least trying. But she did not even attempt to take a real jab at the NBA. How awesome would it have been if Lilly Singh went up there, the lowly YouTuber that none of these NBA players ever heard of, and she started talking about how she wants to put her financial, emotional, spiritual, and financial health and safety above everything else. A joke about LeBron James' absurd quote protecting the Chinese government. Like I said, even if it flopped, I would have taken something like that, anything like that. But instead, we got jokes like this.
Man, I love Tiffany. I love you, Tiffany. Yeah, she's like family, you know. I'm Indian, so she's wearing my cousin's hair right now.
Now, technically, Lilly did get a little bit of heat for that joke because the left says it's never, and I mean absolutely ever, okay to talk negatively about black women's hair, even in a joking way. But the premise or the punchline of that joke was that Lilly Singh is a woman of color. Oh, my cousin's hair, I'm Indian, blah, comedy. Are you laughing? No. No one is laughing, Lilly.
Like, Charles, you were so convincing as Uncle Fester in the Addams Family. And Ernie Johnson, you were great as the scary ventriloquist dummy in Toy Story 4.
These are just two incredibly lame pop culture references about Charles Barkley, who, by the way, if you were going to make fun of anybody, if you were going to research anyone to make fun of, it would be Charles Barkley. And then the other guy, it's like, oh, Toy Story, and get it, Nestor from the Addams Family. Pop culture references, has nothing to do with the NBA.
No, and Shaq, as far as I know, Shaq's never done any acting.
Now, this was the one joke that was decent, and since I'm clearly the fairest-minded person in the universe, I decided to leave it in. Credit where credit is due.
Gary, y'all, Gary, give it up! I mean, he's done well, you know, considering he grew up on the mean streets of 70s Oakland as a black kid named Gary! Gary! Gary!
Seriously, what are these jokes? You know how crazy NBA players can be? You know how many controversies surround a lot of these players? And the best you can do is look up his Wikipedia page, figure out he's from Oakland, and then say, Gary in Oakland, that's a white person name. Gary! Are you laughing yet because I said Gary? Is that funny? Is that comedy for you guys? Gary? Huh? No.
Who could forget Jeff Ross, y'all?
Now, we're going to go over the cringy Jeff Ross joke that Lilly Singh is about to tell, but I do want to point something out. I think that before doing this roast, Lilly Singh literally read like an article or a book on how to do a roast, like how to comedy, didn't practice it at all, and just tried to adapt directly what she read she was supposed to do. Every single transition from one person to another happens in the exact same way. It's who could forget this person, then tell a bad joke about them, then move on to this person over here.
Charles and Ernie Johnson, D-Wade is a good friend of mine. Give it up for him. He really is. Give it up for D-Wade, man. Come on. Gary Payton is here. Give it up for Gary, y'all. Gary, give it up. Who could forget Jeff Ross, y'all? Hey, Jay Farrell's remember Jay. To the main event. Huge Kenny Smith fan.
That's not how you do a roast. You're supposed to mix it up. You mention one guy in the joke of another person. You could use that as a transition. You don't have to directly transition the exact same way every single time because the crummy article on how to do a roast for bad comedians you read told you to do that.
I mean, I just came out as bisexual last year, and already I've pleasured more women than Jeff Ross. I Googled it, fam.
Now look, it's just a fact of life that people in professional sports, people in Hollywood, and large content creators on YouTube, especially ones that receive such critical praise from the mainstream media, are going to have giant egos. But a roast is about the people that you're roasting. And Lilly Singh is literally going through her own personal biography and making this more about her than anyone else. She didn't need to work in the fact that she's bisexual, a woman of color, and doesn't like white men in this bit. It has nothing to do with the NBA, the people she's actually supposed to be roasting. But she has to bring it up because she can't stop talking about herself because she has a bunch of yes men around herself that tell her that absolutely everything is actually about Lilly Singh.
Ernie, I won 2 Teen Choice Awards, and he was voted most likely to never have actually been a teen.
I won 2 Teen Choice Awards, But this old white man, who's old and a white man, was voted most likely person to never have been a teen. Unlike me, who won 2 Teen Choice Awards. Did I mention that I personally won 2 Teen Choice Awards? Now, I know nobody cares about that in the NBA who wins a Teen Choice Award because nobody on the planet, even the people giving out Teen Choice Awards, don't care who wins them, but I won them, and I need you to know that. I'm Lilly Singh. This is comedy. Comedy! Are you laughing? Do you like this? Now, I know you might be thinking, Sean, there's like 8 people in the crowd, and I'm hearing some chuckles, so this was probably pretty funny and well received. Well, that's because I haven't addressed the crowd, because they do have crowd shots, and there's a lot of people in there. And if you notice, the person usually laughing starts laughing as soon as the camera cuts to them and they're actually visible. These people know when they're on camera. They know that they don't want to look like they're being a bad sport, so they give a smile and a chuckle, but there's no real genuine laughter here. The only joke that elicited actual laughter was the one that I showed you, and the one that I actually thought was pretty decent. Every tiny, minuscule bit of laughter comes off as people just being polite, and Lilly Singh scattering her writers across the room, so it sounds like there's laughter from all different directions. Look, I make a living on YouTube, from video views and from generous people who support me on Patreon, Subscribestar, or with one-time donations on Venmo or PayPal. So it actually hurts me to see that Lilly Singh is the representation of YouTube in pop culture media. When people hear that Lilly Singh is from YouTube, now has a late night show, and is doing a set at the NBA All-Star Weekend, they think that Lilly Singh is the best of the best that YouTube has to offer. And when they see her bomb, when they see that her show is terrible, and that she can't coherently string together a joke, they think that YouTube as a whole must be significantly worse, because the cream should always rise to the top. Even though I can't stand Lilly Singh's politics and her public persona, I used to take a little bit of solace in the fact that at least she's somebody who made the jump from YouTube to the mainstream, and maybe this will deliver some respectability to people grinding it out on YouTube. But she couldn't even do that right, and if we're being perfectly honest, that's the only real joke in this scenario. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you like this video, then show me by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on the social medias, support links are also in the description. This has been me talking about Lilly Singh's terrible, and I mean absolutely terrible, NBA All-Star Weekend set. Till next time.